All right. We're live. What's up, Matt? How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing well, doing well. How about you?
All right. I'm great. It is just us today. Nate is working on going to Minnesota to help a lighting guy, do some training at a high level. So just us
Yeah,
today.
exciting. Good
So
stuff.
what kind of wins do you got for the week, man? I know we got a lot of stuff going on over here in San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, my coolest wins right now is I'm working like old leads, put them into like a text marketing campaign. So, I closed two people this week. It's Wednesday right now that literally said no to me 2 years ago, and we've been talking randomly here and there, but I forgot about these two guys. But put in the text campaigns, hit everybody that said no before, and made a quick $12,000 in revenue from leads who I had totally forgotten about over the years. So super win.
Hey, yeah, that's a topic right there, right? Like, always follow up. The gold is in the follow up.
Yeah,
Even if it takes 2 years later, we're actually creating a whole drip system to kind of go out to 2 years, following up with folks that either was a
sweet.
lead and we never led to a quote, and then that was a quote that never led to a job. Two different funnels there.
Yeah, hell
Just
yeah,
kind of
man.
make our system even better than it currently is. Always improving.
Yeah, and you're serving the clients. You forget, like, I know me personally, how many times I tell a contractor no, and if they had reached back out 6 months, a year later, I probably would have been like, oh shoot, yeah, I forgot I wanted to do that project. Yeah, my circumstances are different right now. Let's roll with it. So it's not just self-serving. You're also, if 2 years later these people still don't have any lighting, like they're ready for lighting even more now, right? So it's awesome. I love it. I love marketing.
I would say it's spring season, right? We're busy. We're firing on all cylinders. But I would have liked to have hoped that this spring season was even busier than it is. The stress level isn't like super high, trying to get everything down, working super long, which is kind of nice not to have a super stressful spring. But I like installing more fixtures, and we're just not installing as much as I would like. We've got a lot of 30, 40 fixture jobs on the books, but I haven't had any super big home runs in a month or two. So
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
they're on the way.
yeah. A lot of that probably deals with you're doing light trade school, you're doing other things outside with Glow Geeks and all this stuff. So you're not solely 100% focused on local service market clients. Let's bring them in, all that, right? So doing great for what you're doing and growing. In fact, I guess before we continue on, we'll talk about this week's sponsor, which happens to be you and your company, Glow Geeks. It's a great brand, guys. So Glow Geeks is doing licensing where I'll just say my quick understanding of what the show notes about the sponsorship say, right? It's kind of like a brand in a box that it's not a franchise, it's a license. You can use their systems, you get trained, all this, and able to take that and get a website and all of it, able to drop it right into your market and really speed up not just your marketing efforts, but also your knowledge in lighting. So does that give give a good overview of what it means to be a Glow Geek guy?
Yeah, appreciate it. You're hired. Uh, so I mean, a business in a box is like a good word picture, right? We hook you up with a website, glowgeeks.com/Houston, Dallas, whatever your area is. We do high level training. You get access to the lighting trade school. You get one-on-one coaching. You get our badass brand. You get all of our documents. You get access to David, who's our fractional CMO. You get company cam, you get our jobber template. We have affiliate discounts on everything. So we try to give them 5 times the value, that the small licensing fee is, and try to make it super valuable, right? As we build it out, it'll get more expensive, as we get more and more folks. We've got
Sure.
7 locations right now, and we've got a few that we're actually in talks with right now that looks like we might be opening up number 8 and 9 soon.
Sweet. So like with the licensing models, that mean, if I become Glow Geeks Albany, do I have to pay you also like a percentage of all the work and the revenue I get, or is it just the monthly fee that I pay you?
No, I appreciate the question. I think you probably know the answer, but thanks for asking anyways. No, there is no royalty. Everyone asks that, because it's not a franchise. It's just easy to say the word franchise because people understand what that means better. It's franchise like, but no, I don't want any percentage of your profit at all. I was in a franchise once and just ultimately ended up not liking sending the big checks every month when I felt like the franchisor wasn't helping quite as much and didn't really earn or need that money. And I didn't like that resentment that it built. So I never want to do that to someone else. I couldn't imagine helping someone get to $1 million and then now they got to pay me 70 grand a year, because of that. Like, that's a big check. So no, it's just a flat fee. Right now, there's not even a startup or a territory fee. There will be coming up real soon, but as of right now, no, it's pretty simple terms.
Sweet. Awesome, man. So, and I guess one last thing is, where would someone go to learn a little bit more about that?
Yeah, great question. Just message me anywhere, right, on Facebook, but glowgeeks.com or glowgeeksgang.com. Glowgeeksgang.com will give you kind of more back info if you're interested in starting a lighting business and want to look into something like what Glow Geeks offers.
Cool. Awesome, man. All right. Sorry, I guess I don't say sorry. I just helped talk about you for fucking 4 minutes. So,
no, I appreciate the plug. We never really talked about that.
Yeah. But go ahead and I'll go carry on with what the actual plan was here.
Yeah. So today I wanted to just kind of talk about fires and kind of what it's like to put out fires. I think sometimes as business owners, we feel more like firemen running around, putting fires out all day. And that kind of happens. I think better systems, better documentation, better employees, better loving on your employees, better training, like all kind of limits that. But even with all that, like there's still day-to-day fires. And I think most people probably overthink, the fires. A buddy of mine, he runs a business called Business on Purpose. Old Scott Beebe. Scott Beebe is an amazing dude. But I remember he did a TED Talk once that said, "Let the fires burn." I always remember that. Like, if you kind of ignored the fires or just waited a day to handle them, they will probably burn themselves out. But I think as business owners, sometimes we get too much in an OCD mindset or a perfectionist mindset that we have to fix everything immediately. No. Like, and sometimes really like your team figures it out without you, or that client that's super mad kind of settles down, or that thing that broke, ends up, so what? It made the day go on a little longer. So kind of on the subject of fires, when I ask you that, Matt, like what stands out? Like, that happened to me. Here is something major, and here's what we did, and it really wasn't a big deal.
Sure. Real quick, I'll talk about, I haven't heard about the whole let the fires burn. I like it. I kind of do the same. I found out through trial and error to do the same thing with crews, right? Like I have a lead guy out there. They know what they're doing. If I answer my phone too much, I find that they end up relying on me, right? Like, oh, I don't know what to do. How do we handle this? Then I started just being like, what if I don't answer the phone? And that's when they're able to actually, rise up and they find out they actually know all the answers. So let the fires burn. I like that a lot. In terms of big stuff, big fires, I mean, there's my first job, my very, very first landscape lighting job, we're core drilling a Mariner into around a pool. And we put the drill right through fiber optic that runs all around her house. And I'm talking about the fiber optic lighting for her pool lighting. That was horrible, right? In terms of okay, you can't repair fiber optic. I found out. I had no idea. I never worked with it. So, we had to order custom material and all, and it took 1.5 years, had to be custom made. And like that for me was like a huge fire because my first client loves what I did and is also like, yo, my pool doesn't light up anymore. So that's definitely a huge example of a big fire. Client still loves me.
This is like a massive fire. So I'm not talking about those. Like, I mean, just like the daily fires, the weekly fires, the stuff that you just always get. So like, I guess maybe more of an example of, going back to what you said, right? Like if you just go out of town for a week or two, like you'll realize your team is actually more capable than they think they are. If
Yeah.
they can't get a hold of you, like they figure it out. But
Right.
like today, for instance, like, well, we have a little fire. Like my general manager calls me. I mean, literally just before you and I jumped on this call, he is literally right this second, me speaking, sitting on the side of the road. He wrecked his car. Luckily, it wasn't a work truck, and luckily, no one was hurt. So everyone's safe. But like he totaled his car. He's on the side of the road right now. Adrenaline's pumping. He doesn't know what to do. He was on his way to join someone on a job site. Now he's not helping him on a job site. So now I got a crew leader by themselves, not knowing what to do. And I'm over here on this podcast. Like, that sounds like something that would drive someone else nuts. Oh man, I got to hurry up and go get there. I got to go step in. I got to go to this client's house. I got to call this crew leader that now's by themselves expecting help. In all reality, like, I don't know, worst case scenario, like, yeah, the day takes an extra couple hours. Jason's going to have to pay a $500 deductible, and he's not going to have a car for a week. Maybe he has rental car insurance. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I got to let him borrow a work truck. I mean, these are all like, it sounds like a big fire, but man, if you've had thousands of things like this, my fire muscle is just super strong. Things like that is not going to bother me. It takes a lot to make a bad day for me. Actually, I would almost say that there's no such thing as a bad day. Like, I don't think you'll ever see Shane having a bad day. I'll have a bad hour, maybe a bad 15 minutes. Like I'm not immune to that, but I don't let something like a major car wreck ruin more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a lot of that, just getting the reps in of handling and dealing with fires. When you're the guy, especially when we start out, right? We're doing everything. Literally everything falls on us. So then as we start branching out and growing, we have teams, we end up probably taking too much responsibility of the day-to-day, like, minuscule stuff. So we deal with all these fires. And now, even during my training, we had it mapped out we're doing columns and we're backlighting the columns with sconce lights. And I was like, I want the wires drilled out this way, all so they're the same. So when we hide the wires, everything looks the same. They're doing it. My lead guy's doing it, and he drilled the hole on the wrong side for one of them. And everyone stops to come get me. They're like, "Yo, we went through the wrong side. What are we gonna do now?" I was like, "I will just run the wire on that side. Let's go. Keep going." I walked away, and someone came up to me and was like, I would have probably stood there for like 2-3 hours, maybe a half a day till he defeated that, my guy did the wrong thing or I did the wrong thing. I'm like, why? It doesn't help us. Like the hole is there, the thing is done. Do it that way now and move on. We got things to do. But that guy who said it to me, he was so surprised. And for me, I was like, well, this is one of the smallest things I probably have to deal with all week. So I think reps of just dealing with a bunch of the big stuff on top of little stuff altogether kind of, so much of it is like, the day keeps going. That pissed off client, it sucks. It'll work out. Your business isn't ending. Car accident happens. It sucks. There's more cars, right? Like it's just kind of, you build those reps.
Yeah, I think with some folks, maybe their personality is just more OCD, and mine's maybe a little more laid back to that kind of stuff. Maybe it's a progression of life. I'm not quite sure, but you cannot let stuff like that bother you or get under your skin. You're the leader of the team. You have to be calm when they're frantic. My team comes to me with problems all the time, whether it's work problems, personal problems, and we talk through it. And at the end of the conversation, they're like, okay, well, man, I guess it really isn't that big of a problem. Worst case scenario, I'm at $100 and have to waste a few hours. I mean, it's really, really not that big of a deal in most scenarios. You said it in your training. It's the crown is not heavy. It's just your neck is weak. I think you had a full cuss word there, but it's true, really. Like if you want to be a CEO or a business owner and lead a team of people, well, you just have to practice that muscle a little bit and take every fire as a teachable moment to strengthen your business or yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think a perfect example, I just thought of it now, is during my live training last month when I'm literally teaching, training, educating, hyping up the guys, letting them know what's possible. I get a call from a very irate customer about a automated maintenance charge that happened. This client's been my client for years, been great, done lots of phases and everything. And he was thoroughly upset, pissed off. I guess he had some problems with a few fixtures. And, I guess talk about that real quick. I said to him, I said, well, I didn't even know, like, you never even called me. Like, I didn't have the chance. Like, last time I was there for maintenance, fixed everything, fixed the lights that weren't mine. And I didn't even know you're having problems. And whatever the case was, he was just super upset, super pissed off that day. Was like, refund my maintenance money. I don't want you coming to my house anymore. Okay, great. The moment I hung that up, I had to be back to being full blown Captain Matt, the trainer, pumped up, let's go. Right. And I was able to. Did it suck? Yeah, of course it sucks. I like the guy, been a great client. But I had to, me being upset or spending time being all depressed about it does nothing to help me move forward, doesn't nothing to help all these guys that are with me move forward. So I think a lot of times I've learned that in my mind is, okay, well, it sucks, of course, but dwelling on it doesn't move me forward. So here we go. Let's keep going.
I would say those are probably the hardest fires, right? An upset client. For me, right? Like my big clients become my friends. I'm always in my mind giving them a crazy amount of value and loving on them and serving them, and they get mad and they don't see it. I would say 9 times out of 10, probably even 49 times out of 50, right? Probably a high amount. We can take that complaint and turn it around, and we end up strengthening that relationship.
Sure.
But you can't always make all of them happy. Some people just don't want to be happy or fixed.
Yeah.
I was right before this call and I was thinking of fires, and I'm thinking of my general manager on the side of the road right now. I'm going to go help him after this call. But I was saying, like, what other kind of fires, like, kind of go through that like I've been through as a business owner and at the time seemed like major, but once you go through it a couple of times, maybe it's not. So I wrote down a couple things, literally just jotted them down probably, 90 seconds ago. But tools breaking on site, things breaking, you break something of the customer, employees quitting or getting sick, like right in the middle of the busy season and you really need them, or it's a key employee that leaves and you got to retrain and hire in the middle of a busy season. That one can be really, really stressful if you haven't been through it 10 times. Unhappy clients, shipping delays, right? A customer needs something done for this particular day, and now you are delayed a day or two or a week. Those are all kind of fires, family emergencies. When I think of family emergencies or illnesses, I commonly say is just me being a person of faith. Like, well, you can't stress out over things you can't control. If you have zero control over it, what can you do? Stressing over it, losing sleep isn't going to help anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah. And to add to that, right, the theft, people stealing from you, even this year, right? Like, guys get stuck in a boom, getting stuck in a boom. If that had happened maybe, 12 years ago, that would have been like, I would have probably lost my mind, right? Not knowing what to do, thinking, well, I should probably get out of Christmas. I should never be on a boom again. I just, what? I'm going to stick to all groundwork, right? I could see myself going through that spiral in my mind, but I didn't, right? It was like, well, geez, this one particular night really sucks. Like, I hope they get the tree done. Hey, if you're stuck up there, can you keep decorating?
A fire truck let you down or something? Wasn't it a pretty big deal?
It was a pretty big deal. It wasn't me personally in the boom, but it was at my home. So like the local fire station comes, they have a 75-foot. The thing is the boom we were using like 50 feet, but because they couldn't drive onto the lawn because of my row of trees in the front, they're parked in my driveway, and 75 feet is not enough. So then they call them back up from another fire department. They bring in a 105-foot boom arm, and it was they had the whole road shut down. There's ambulances ready just in case the guys are up in the boom, like laughing. But it was a big day here for the local residents, and the volunteer firemen were definitely saying, hey, we don't get to use this a lot. This is actually pretty fun.
while that sounds like a nightmare, right? But again, worst case scenario, you wasted a night and you're set back a day for the job, and you got to go buy a rope so you can rope them up some water and some sandwiches.
That's right.
Well, that's worst case scenario. It's really not that bad. When I'm sure at the time that sounded, or 12 years ago, that would have sounded like a total nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. How about something you remember anything from early on that, like when you got the call, what, no matter what business you were in, that you were like, this is it. This is how it all ends. I'm definitely not going to continue on in business, and then kind of reflect on that, where how you think you'd handle it today.
I remember a very high anxiety time. There was two scenarios. One scenario was I just didn't know like to be collecting sales tax on certain services, and the comptroller for Texas like does an audit and goes back 4 years from the time of when we started business, and we ended up owing them 90 grand. And they did not let me make payments. And like our business was not that big then. This was a ground shaking thing. 90 grand was insane. And they froze all of our accounts. Not just once, but 3 different times. The first time they froze all of our accounts, and it was like, hey, we need 90 grand. And I was like, well, what? Like, you don't notice like anything? Like, you just take my payroll account, my operations account, like all like 5 buckets that I have, because we kind of follow profit first. Like, they took all of it. Like, oh, shit, like, how do you expect me to even pay you back if I can't operate? I had to pay my employees like cash out like on credit card. Forgot how I did it, but like I figured out like, and I paid them on credit card. So we went to work. They gave me a long list of things to do to pay them back or earn the right to be on a payment plan. You had to like go to banks and like ask for loans and show them proof that you didn't get approved. When like any bank pulls up that we're under investigation, our accounts are frozen. It's like, of course they're not going to give me like, this is stupid. But like we just had to go through it, and we did it. And they were like, nope. And then they saw that we had another business that was sales tax exempt, but I guess they just saw, oh, they don't have a sales tax permit on this business. Let's freeze his accounts all over again and take all the money out. And then like I showed them like, no, this is a vending business. Items vended 50 cents or less aren't subject to sell. Oh yeah, you're right, Mr. Duffy. But we took your 20 grand out. Like we can't refund it. Our mistake. It's just going to go towards your balance. What? Like, this is again, like it like almost made me cry. Like, how do I pay my guys that have been working? They've got rent to pay, and these, comptroller thugs literally emptied my bank account twice in a row. So that was an extremely stressful process. We ended up paying them off within like 9 months, accumulated a lot of debt doing it. In hindsight, I probably could have crushed some other folks. I would say, probably almost crushed me, certainly hurt. And then another time,
intense.
So similar to that time, like it's in the middle of Christmas season. We just landed our biggest contract. We're doing downtown Christmas lights. It was only like our second year doing lights. So like we were already in over our heads doing like this 6-figure install or however much it was. And then we're like super busy outside of that. Well, one guy like ends up going to one of my lead guys ends up like having cancer and just like says, hey, I gotta leave and deal with this. He just got sick, and he left with like no notice at all. And then my other guy like immediately left like the next day, and he's like, hey boss, like I'm an alcoholic. I'm checking myself into a rehab facility. And I'm like, what the heck? And then like, one other guy, I think just quit, or we had to fire him. He was kind of worthless anyways. So like my team of 4 or 5 guys like literally just shrunk when we're already all working 50 hours a week, super busy. Like that was stressful. It was in the middle of this. Like there's like a time limit. Like we couldn't push back this job. It had to be done. It's Christmas. We got other jobs booked behind it. That was stressful.
Yeah,
that's when I learned to hire subcontractors in a pinch, and just learn to hire fast and fire faster. So yeah, we got subcontractors, knocked it all out. Like crisis averted.
Right. Yeah.
If those
No.
things happen again, it won't be a crisis, right? I've gone through it. The muscles built.
Sure. And what I always learned from my coach, a guy's way above me, there's going to be something else, right? There's going to be something that we face that we've never faced before. It's going to seem new. We're going to have to figure out how to get out of that pit to get up to the next one, right? So even a lot of guys say, "Oh, you wouldn't understand. You're so much higher than I am." Well, I've already been through it. I understand. Am I a little bit more cavalier about what you think is a problem now? Yeah, just like if I talk to, 100 millionaire or a billionaire about my problems, right? They'd be cavalier in terms of, well, yeah, just fix it. What do you mean? Just do it. It's not minimizing that problem, but it just shows you there's always a next scale, a next level of problem. Even Nate says, right? Well, now my fuck ups just usually cost more money. I still make them. They just cost a lot more, right? So it's never ending. And I think understanding that at least gives us the benefit of knowing that we're going to be dealing with something that didn't plan to, don't want to deal with, but we're going to have to figure it out, right? So don't quit.
Maybe that's just the path. That's kind of what I told myself. In my path to being a high six-figure income earner, well, you have to have some major 5-figure fires. In my path to 7 figures, well, you've got to have some 6-figure problems pop up. And one day, maybe I'll be lucky enough to have some 7-figure problems that totally shake my ground. Then I'll be on the path to being 9 figures.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're going through a fire right now, right? Look back 10 years ago and look at 10 years ago yourself. You would probably kill to be in the position to even have the problem you're facing right now from 10 years ago past self. That's a fun thing to do, is kind of that look back. Remember where you came from, because I know 10 years ago, Matt, if I can look back now, totally different, right? So problem you're dealing with now, sometimes I like to be like, this is a problem I really wanted to have 5 years ago, and now I get to have it. I'm lucky. So
I'm lucky to have employees that get in car wrecks, because the alternative might be I just don't have any employees at all,
or no business, no reason for an employee, right? Cool, man.
Well, good words. I'm going to go bail someone out on the side of the road and put out, my little tiny fire for the day.
Yes, sir. All right. Good chatting with you.
I'll see you next week, bro.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.